What's up, everybody? It's Joseph R. Wheeler III, artist, founder, president of the ONYXCON Foundation. Back in the ride. But this isn't a Courier Chronicles episode. I'm not talking about doing the courier work stuff that I'll be doing. This is one of them ONYXCON specials where I'm talking about, I guess you could mainly say this is relationship goals in the art life, but in a way it's a bit of point for point about some things historically. And I want to give credit where credit is due and shout out the Sunday sermon, as he calls it, from International Zoe. Shout out to Zoe, man. Yeah, homie, I've been watching you for years. You might even know me from a few comments here and there on some of your content, and every now and then during your lives, I come in and salute you and have some good words, brother, and it's all positive, it's all good vibes. I really consider myself a fan of his content. Him, Ace Live, Jay Abroad, oh my God, I could go on and on. Miss Chloe, you know, all these legends of travel. Even old wild Zoom to Thailand, you know what I'm saying? Richie Mack, man, the travel legit, you know what I mean? All these guys are cool with me in terms of me enjoying something about their work. But when he does this Sunday sermon thing, he often gives, you know, older man advice, which I'm an older gentleman myself. I'm in my 50s, you know what I mean? I respect a lot of what he's saying because he's living a part of a dream I'd like to do myself, in the sense that technically Zoe lives like a polyamorous gentleman. He has, you know, multiple women who I'm sure he cares for, and that's the definition of the word. You know, it's like many is poly, and then amor is love. So, you know, I always say you can't have love without respect, and he speaks a lot of respect, and I've seen him show it to a lot of the ladies in his life. But I've also observed him say, you know, in so many words, that he's just the kind of guy who doesn't see himself ever settling down again. He's divorced, he has kids. His kids are more or less grown. I think are grown, I don't know. I know I've seen him with one of his sons before, and that was a grown guy, you know. But I know he has, you know, he had a wife, and he's divorced, and that's that. So he talks sometimes about, you know, as he's going further into his journey, 7 years into the thing, he might settle down. He might, but he don't know. I mean, he still maybe wants another girlfriend in another country, because he did this, you know, experiment of trying to have multiple girlfriends in multiple countries. That's pretty powerful, man. I mean, man, I'm like, man, you definitely got the bag. You're obviously hitting about, I ain't counting nobody's pockets, but I can add up what makes sense. I know Zoe must be hitting on, man, he in the 150 to 200,000 a year type category. You know what I mean? I'm saying all that to say, when he addresses certain issues like the one he had today about the Sunday sermon, he was talking about women as apex predators. And he's smart. He started off by just defining what an apex predator is. And he gave a real true definition, where I would, you know, before I say disagree completely, I want to be specific. It's not as simple as just, oh, I don't agree. Yes and no. It ain't that simple. It's more gray for me. Most things in this world are gray. There's really not a lot of black and white about anything, in my opinion. And so when he gave his perspective on defining women who prey on men with money or men with power to either acquire their resources when things don't go good and they go to a divorce and things like that, he broke it down, and a lot of that I can agree with. It's a real concern for men out here nowadays, and it's always been a concern, but even more right now, right? So I agree with that. Breaking down his perspectives about this apex predator, which had a dope thumbnail, by the way, man. I love your AI technique, and I do AI images myself for my thumbnails a lot of times. But I am a drawer painter, actual drawer painter, for real artist. So when I see really good prompts that I know led to great results, I'm impressed, because as a writer, which is another art form, I know what it took for you to explain what you wanted and get what you want. So that was dope, bro. That one right there, that thing, she got my attention. I was like, what is all this glossy booty with the alligator tail? I was like, this thing crazy. Man, I was pretty much in agreement about how it's gotten so scary, and how it's really a climate that doesn't make men like us who have been married, and, you know, I don't have kids, thank goodness, because my thing would be way more complicated. But, you know, I was married, I'm divorced, and I know, man, women still want to be married. Every time I meet somebody, that's in the back of their mind if it's not at the front. And a lot of times I don't get as many dates as I probably would, because I don't want marriage, and because they know from the beginning, because I let them know. I'm like, I'm on a fixed income. I'm not the baller. I'm the dude who might be richer than my own wildest dreams one day, And if you believe in what I'm building with ONYXCON, then maybe you can be one of my ladies with that, because I'm starting to feel like I want a pantheon, as I like to say it. You know, I've added that phrase into a lot of my conversation these days, and I'm more and more comfortable with it. I'm kind of training my brain into the idea of a polyamorous circle of ladies that are worthy of my time and resources, because I find that so many, especially if they're in America, are just so lacking of what it takes to be a complete circle, to where I wouldn't even want nobody else, or where I would be like, yeah, there'll always be somebody else to look at and say, ooh, that might be nice physically, but man, this woman holding me down physically, mentally, spiritually, every single way I can think of. And most women want to talk that talk just by default, but when it comes to really understanding there's individual compatibility that is required to make anything work, they ain't up for the task. Hell, a lot of dudes ain't either. Ladies, I give y'all credit for that. And this ain't about us versus y'all. I'm not on that BS. I just don't like the fact that I think at this time in history, we've kind of reached a fever pitch of women who think just by repeating casual, popular social media phrases and knowing what words go after what and what goes next. And if you say that with this, then that means, oh yeah, yeah, girl. And they all slap five and back each other up for saying all the stuff that would make them a quality woman. But what they got to do with what really is? Not a damn thing. It's gonna come down to the real salt, man. It's gonna come down to the real actions. They always gonna speak louder than words. It's really all about you acknowledging and accepting. If you got a man who's being honest with you, that's the key point. Because fellas, I'm gonna be real. If you ain't being real with her, then you gonna keep getting all this fakeness that you keep saying these women got, because you ain't real. You know what I'm saying? Game recognized game. And since everybody just want to pretend like life is just one big game and play like that all the time, you're going to keep feeling like you're always in competition with your women, instead of acknowledging that, look, yo, you expect this and I expect it. We both want the same things when it comes to respect. That's a given. You got to come with respect first. Then power, then money. If ever money. And that's whether you wealthy, rich, I don't care. Strapped, worrying, figuring it out, it don't matter. Respect always first. So if you leading with that, and that's my philosophy, and obviously it's a philosophy that is dying more and more in America, but I think it's still true for those of us who know the truth, true woke, as I like to call it. All of us who are true woke, not this fabricated woke that was redefinition of a word through political parties and bullshit. I'm talking about the real definition that we've been saying for centuries in the black communities that knew. And then we done let other folk come and, some folk let and others never let. It just happened, Folk done turned the word around on us. But anyway, yeah. But no, if you leading with money, you gonna always get certain results. That's just a fact. You're putting the bait on the hook that gives you a certain fish, and I fish for real. So I ain't just talking metaphors. A lot of these dudes love to get out here and talk all this. I'm a hunter. You ever hunted in your goddamn life? I have. Yeah. Fishing is aquatic hunting, and I've done land hunting. You understand? There's a whole nother video for a whole nother topic, but it teaches you to be that kind of patience in other things in life. Thank you, Dad. You know what I'm saying? My father gave me that. You feel me? And we still will go hunting. We still fish to this day, forever and a day. Sometimes just if you're leading with money. By the way, at this point, I'm no longer just talking about what was inspired by what Zoe was talking about. And I'm not coming for you, brother. This ain't one of them, covert shade bullshit. I don't do shade. But if I had some problem, I'd tell you straight up. You know what I mean? It's not even about that. This is respect first, always. So yeah, y'all, it's a legit respect here. I want to make that very clear. Because anytime you mention somebody's name online, oh man, it's the smoke. Man, no goddamn smoke. That's the homie. I would love to meet Zoe and do an interview and everything someday. Put that on your list, bro. If we ever meet, that'd be great. But no, inspired so many other thoughts in me. And I started thinking about how one thing you said that did kind of get me a little bit when you was talking about in popular culture, we see the rise of women in positions that were traditionally men as heroes in movies. And you mentioned Alien and stuff. Now, ONYXCON started as a Comic-Con, so as a sci-fi based, fantasy based, and all of that, and then the core forever will be that type of thing. that's when you really hit buttons for me. And I said, well, now, go wait a minute, you talking my language? What you talking about there, Zoe? And he was just saying how, it was the first time he remembers seeing a female leader in that kind of power. Like, you taking on this giant monster group of alien creatures that are lethal, and you got your gun, and he didn't get into all that, but I'm saying all that about what the movie really is. And I get it, what he was saying. And then he went on to say, you also look at Game of Thrones, which I was never into Game of Thrones, but I'm aware, got to stay aware of everything like that. And so I know what it's more or less about. He was talking about House of Dragons, how one of the ladies is now the main lead and the queen, and there's another character that wanted to be a king, and somebody else, and how ruthless these different women characters were on the show to make the point that, sometimes people say if women were in charge, there'd be less war. He says, I beg to differ. I agree too. I think so. This is what I want to say about all of that. I would say, with just that one part, I truly believe that we are all archetypes. Every living being has a soul and a spirit and an energy about you. And I'm big on zodiac and all that, right? And I think some women in modern society just simply do not. And I think a lot of men don't know what their archetype really is. And they're not living by the code of their archetype. And that's very lethal, because what people don't understand about an archetype is it's who you gonna be no matter what. You can change because of circumstances. Somebody who's never meant to be a hardened, violent criminal can become that in an environment because they have to do it to survive. Which makes them horrible, because they're gonna go that much harder to prove, I told y'all to leave me alone. You know what I mean? Versus there could be somebody else that's not nothing to do with their character, and they're never forced to do it. But if they ever were, they become maniacal. And I think that ultimately is what has happened to our women in America, and it's starting to happen to women all over the world. The pressure and disrespect of a machismo, male-dominated societies has resulted in this whole, keep women in their place, but the place is always lower, and like men not respecting enough of the things we keep saying. We want traditional, we want you to be natural woman, just be nurturing and be naturally nurturing and be naturally submissive and naturally wanting to raise children and all these things. First of all, every woman is not meant to have a child. At the point in human history where we exceeded any of the just what we need to be as sapiens, when we went past that and had to have bigger and bigger things. Why was there bigger and bigger societies created? If you know enough about history, you'll know. Mouths needing to be fed came as a result of people wanting to build more grandiose. It's the concept of always wanting to build and show out, flex, if you will. That desire to flex in my culture is so bad, man. We gonna build some big shit. Well, big shit takes a lot of bodies to make. It's impressive to see. It's phenomenal. I've seen Chichen Itza in Mexico. I can't wait till I get to Egypt. Zoe has been to Egypt. I respect anybody who's ever made these trips that I'd like to make, because they've seen what I'm gonna see, But like, when you stand in front of something like that and think about how old it is and how many people died making it, okay? You know what I'm saying? And what that meant to the people, or what it became, what it was conditioned to mean to a people, and spiritual systems, ancient or not, in any time. Whenever you're building bigger and bigger and more advanced and complex, it takes more people. It takes more power. Now we're in an age where these folks are making robots to take the place of people, so we don't need as many people. And we got the results of that too. That's a whole nother conversation, about population control, with the people at the top not feeling like they even need as many of us anymore. Like, let's get rid of some of them. Oh my gosh, I could go on and on, but my ultimate point about what all that does to the psychology of women born into their natural individual archetypes, wanting to be natural. I've actually had women friends. I'll never get a friend of mine who, unfortunately, we fell out, because here we go again with people not being honest about what works for their archetype. And so I really hope you ever watch this, bro, because you're going to laugh so hard at this one. This is a good one. This is a good one for anybody, but this friend of mine I'll consider, forever in the day, she's a friend of me, because I just remember the good times. And we never got intimate or anything like that. I did have a crush on her, and I told her that. And it was after I had been through my divorce, and I told her, like, I'll never get, I met you while I was still married. And in the back of my mind, I was just thinking, boy, this is one more reason why maybe I don't need to be married if there's women like this walking around. You know what I mean? Because golly, what am I doing over here with this that ain't even compatible to me? And there's women like this. She is, woo, look at these eyes, look at this face, look at this body. You know, I was into all that. Then I ended up working with her, ironically, at a job by chance, because we were both artists. And we got to be buddies, you know? And it was simple as that. I mean, I still had my little back mind crush, and I think she always knew it. So by the time I got my divorce, and I told her, yeah, you know, hey, by the way, you know, because what it was, I called her to tell her about my divorce. I was calling, and you know, when you go through, anybody who's ever been through a divorce, you know, anybody who ever knew you and your mate, so to speak, you want everybody to know, so it ain't weird if they see you out and about living your new single life. You don't want nobody coming up, hey man, ain't you married? What you all hooked up with 20 women? Bruh, that's a long time ago. I'm good. I'm single as a mother. You know what I mean? You don't want to have to explain shit to nobody. So you kind of let people know what's going on with you. And I always liked talking to her. So I hit her up during them first, you know, months of me being single like that and told her what was happening. And we ended up becoming kind of like phone pals, not even pen pals. We would just talk a lot. Every week we'd check in. And it also became good for both of us because she was starting a thing on social media, and I helped her realize some things that would help her channel. And I don't know if she would ever give me that credit, but I know it was because of what I said. Like, she's a very pretty woman, but she was one of these like super au naturel types. She had really long locks, which I always had a thing about locks where it's like, I don't really like locks. I like the way they look, I don't like the way they feel, unless your hair is super soft. And she had some really nice, well-kept locks. So I liked her, and they were very long. And it fit her face. She had really long locks and stuff. And she never really wore, I don't like a woman wearing a lot of makeup anyway, but she didn't wear any makeup in these videos a lot of times. And she didn't care how her backdrop looked. She would have a messy room that just looked cluttered, like she, you know, had a bad day and ain't had time to clean it up type look behind her. I said, look, you want your channel to get better? I'm gonna tell you something. Clean up that room, make it look like it's a set. It's purposeful. The room in behind you needs to look like something, okay? You know, and I'm saying this as I'm out here doing courier work, but I tell y'all I'm doing courier work, all right? So don't be worrying about my cooler in the back and all that shit, okay? But I'm saying, if I was home and I set something up, I'm gonna keep it as plain as I can, or if I allow it to be junky, it's gonna be purposeful junk. It's gonna be something that goes with what I'm talking about, hopefully. At least that's my plan, right? But I told her that. First, she was like, I don't feel like, she was just on some lazy stuff. I don't feel like doing all that. Yeah, she whining. But just like if she had been my girlfriend or something, I told her, baby, you need to do this, it'll help. Why the next time she came live, I said, uh-oh, she done put on a little gloss, you know, kind with a little color in it, but not lipstick, because I told her, harsh lipstick ain't my thing. She did that. She had a little bit of eye makeup on. She did exactly what I told her to do. She didn't put on no cake face. She just did all she needed. A little eye makeup and some lip gloss. Boy, I'm talking about she looked so sexy and good in that video. And it was more intriguing. And she felt confident. You could tell she had that woman's, I know I'm looking cute. So she killing it. Her video was better than that. And I said, how'd the video go? She's like, they liking it. I was like, I bet they are, goddamn. I told y'all. She just, you know, like, okay, anyway. Because she was the type to never want to give you, she'd give you a problem, but it's always this all, you know, that's some more of that modernized bullshit. Like, you think you can't give a man a compliment, he giving you a zillion. Right? So, to level it all the way down, we used to talk about what we really want ultimately in a partner. And this is back when I thought maybe one could do for me, but I'm more on, like I tell you, I'm more leaning towards polyamory in general because people ain't ready. And I just feel like you might need 3 women to get the one woman you need. You know? It's like classic Spike Lee's joint. She's gotta have it. The woman wanted 3 men to make the one man she wanted. I want the man version of that. I want 3 women. That could be everything I ever wanted, right? At least, maybe even more. I don't know. But see, all that's a whole nother topic, and I'm gonna get into that. But it's really contingent because of this society and how things work on your money. Well, how much money you got? If you can't afford it, you can't. And that's damn near true. It's sad but true. That's another pathetic part of the equation. But here's why that is important to what I'm about to say about this homegirl and why we kind of fell out. As far as I'm concerned, we didn't fall out. She decided to fall out with me. So one time we were talking about sensual desire and what people like. And I was telling her some things that are just like given for most men, 90% of all men. Hey, we like this. And I was mentioning the power of oral. And I was also explaining, I said, now, as a man, real man, they ain't got no shame. Got no some dudes out here be like, I don't do that. And I won't, yeah, well, they the ones gonna miss that boat. I said, I love pleasing a woman as long as she loves pleasing me. And she got to be about that for me. And she was like, oh, that's so disgusting. And it was so funny when she said it. She went into all these reasons why it's nasty. She was like, you're drinking pee and all this. I'm like, ain't nobody drinking pee. What are you talking about? She went so far into it was hilarious, right? So ultimately, she goes on to say, but she wants a man. Look, listen to this list. This was the craziest combo. But I ain't mad at her because I think a lot of us do this, men and women. We want things that don't go together typically. But we got this fantasy in our head. And I think it's a result of modern society and having so many options and seeing that things are possible, or the fantasies of things are possible. And people start saying, well, I just won't settle until I get everything I wanted. First, she said that she wanted this guy to be a black guy who was basically in really good shape physically because he works on a farm all the time and he has plenty of land and he runs a farm. I think that's so hot, blah, 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 blah. She even used a reference of one of our mutual friends who is kind of a country dude who grew up like that, you know, and is not living that reality, but she admitted that she had always had a crush on him. And I was just like, oh, wow, everything's becoming real now. Because I used to notice whenever she was around him how she would act, but it was very respectful because he was, you know, a married man, whatever. She wasn't trying to disrespect, and she didn't. She was, and I'm reading all that because like, Lord, yo, I held mine down, she held hers down. When we got to be better friends, and I told her about my crush, she let me down kind of harsh, but at the same time on some friend zone stuff. Like I don't like you like that. Like she didn't outright say I wasn't handsome to her. She just was like, you know, you're just not my type, not what I would want. Blah 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 blah. Whatever. It's never easy to get let down. But anyway, so when she's telling me this story, and I'm laughing in the back of my mind, thinking, are you gonna be ready for me to tell you the truth about your ultimate man? Because she was like, she wanted this dude to be a certain height. Of course, he was ridiculously tall. I think the dude was gonna be like 6'5", 6'6". Shit, I'm 6'2". You know what I mean? She may have been like, man, she probably about 5'4". She was a cute little thing, you know? And anyway, and then she wanted him to be, at the same time, a multi-millionaire. I'm talking about he got that money so we can live how we want to live and do what we want. And I was just like, I'm just listening, right? And then she went into even physicality to say you need to be a certain kind of, you know, she wasn't so stuck on light skin or whatever, but she specifically said this for this guy. You know, she wanted him to be black, but she wanted him to be, basically she said she wanted him to be a ginger. And I was like, do you know how rare black gingers are? Like, you done made this dude a fucking, he's beyond a unicorn. Like, where's this dude at that you think is gonna just pop out? And so when she finished all that, here's what literally killed our friendship, me being this honest with her. I said, it's already hard, but then you said, you don't believe in giving oral? Like, what man don't love that? Like, do you really think I said, I'm gonna be real with you. I said, any man of power who has gained his wildest dreams and has achieved enough to live financially on point and got more or less what most folk would consider a trophy wife, if you will, and you could be that if you wanted to put on that look. You know, we all know what you look like without makeup. You know, if you wanted to play the bad bitch role, and the thing about this person is she had even been a little bit of that at a different point in her life, and then she became Miss Locked Up and everything and all that, and like all of that was a reinvention. She had been the girl who was kind of like, I realized I could be an it girl, so I'm gonna play that role for a minute, have some fun with that. And then when, you know, she got tired of what that attracts with dudes, she got all earthy and everything, which was cool. I liked it. That is where she went with her path and made her a better person for her, just for her. Everybody got to pick archetypes, I tell you. But sometimes people picking stuff don't even go with their chemistry. It's like you trying to be something. They ain't nothing about you, this Erykah Badu. You are Little Kim, you know what I'm saying? You just be Little Kim. Now, that's not what I'm saying about her. She was Erykah Badu's, like, but if you know Badu as much as I do in her music, and I love her, you know, in her interviews and stuff, Badu got a bad girl side to her, a hood girl side to her, her Texas, Houston, gold teeth and all that, in addition to the stylistic. She was kind of like that. I mean, she even had the light brown eyes and stuff. I'm talking about the girl I know. So it kind of cracked me up. It's like, you got Badu-ish energy. And you up here saying, well, all this stuff you want on this list, like, girl, good luck. Like, you think any dude is gonna accept, I'm gonna have a woman this fine that don't even want to give me the good? Or worse, if it's like, you know, if you kind of brother I am, where I like, yo, I know what I put down on that side of things. And I enjoy pleasing, and then you gonna get the best of everything. But then, she even said I wouldn't even want him to do it to me. I was like, yeah, okay, right. but you're really making it worse, because it's like any dude who would enjoy pleasing you in so many different ways ain't gonna be trying to hear that. He ain't gonna be trying to hear that. And she just pretty much wanted to believe it. No, this is perfect. And she got mad, like, don't you dare tell me my fantasy doesn't exist. Who are you to say? I said, I'm not telling you, I'm just saying the likelihood of this shit is pretty fucking stretched. Like, I'm personally, I've been over them kind of fantasy, vision board conversations, man. Please, I know how hard it is to find an ultimate woman for me, because whenever I try to make that list, I feel stupid, because I start realizing this could never be one woman. It could never be one woman, because it's gonna always come down to, I like so many different things about different. I love Latinos, I love Asian, I love black women, I love some things about quote unquote white women. The constructs don't limit me, and that's all race is, a construct. I get into ethics, ethical, ethnicity. All them F's mean a lot to me, you know what I mean? I go heavy on it, y'all. I go heavy. I want to know the depths of you, not just how you look too, but it will matter. Ladies, it will matter. It will always matter. I'm not going to bullshit you, And it would matter to a dude, especially the kind of dude this woman says she wanted. So it really made our friendship hard after that. And then I kept trying to, like, hey, man, I know you're not, like, avoiding conversation with me over that, are you? It's like, anybody who doesn't respect my dreams, I don't have time for some shit. I don't know what her last words were to me, but she really did get that mad. I was like, wow, right? So I have not spoken to this woman in years because of me being honest with her about this, what you need to face about what you're saying you want. You need to take some classes in how to appreciate the act of glorious, because it will, I done heard comedians and all kind of folk make ultimate statements about, you want to keep your man home? It ain't no guarantee, but I tell you one thing that pretty much worked, goddamn. It's just what it do. It's what it do, baby. And if he gonna sacrifice everything for you, he gonna make you my all forever, and I'm never gonna look at another woman like this or touch another woman, you better be everything. I mean everything, right? So I just always, I will say that in that regard for women who have their fantasies and want to be so high and mighty. And then another thing she said, this is the most important part that relates to what Zoe was getting at, about women wanting to be in power and be kings and queens and every other type of rulership. She said one time, that she wanted to have so much kind of power and do her career a certain level. But at a certain point, she said, as I've been trying to do that, I don't care no more. She said, I'm tired. She said, I want to just be feminine. I want to submit. I want somebody to take care of me. She was like, I want a husband. I said, I'll be damned. And that's when she gave her description of this. And I'm like, well, damn, you done made it harder for yourself. Like, so ultimately, I'm saying people be wanting things that don't make sense on both sides of it. People be wanting things that don't go with the statistical values of where they're at. You got to face the reality of what we're dealing with right now in America and even abroad. Like, from watching Zoe and from watching other folks I admire who do this level of travel, man, I've seen that, because of American influence and UK influence and them, I've been to Cancun and seen, like, shit, man, I mean, I've never been to Vegas. Well, I tell you, man, I have been in Vegas, but just, briefly, very brief. I'm saying this is like Vegas in Mexico, and it's like, damn, I thought I was going to Mexico, not America. You know what I mean? It's like you put the Mexicanos there, it's still their country, but everybody's catering to your bullshit. All the clubs playing, all the American, and Zoe talks about that. He shows that. And it's like, I don't want to go out of the country to hear fucking Lil Baby and Pop Smoke and Weezy and Wayne, and I don't want to hear that shit when I'm overseas. I want to feel like, maybe a day in a certain spot, whatever, have a good time, but I don't want them to play it all night. I want to hear y'all stuff. I want the reggaeton. I want the traditional, what y'all really dig out here. If I'm somewhere there, I'm not trying to go to Puerto Rico and not hear no salsa. You crazy? The real, man. I want the real, is my point. And I'm just saying, I think a lot of women, a lot of men, everybody, people got to face your archetype. What do you think you want because of societal trends and pressure? You just like, man, I think I want to try. That's what that happens. Trends make you think, I think I just want to do that and see what that feels like. Great. But when you say, I want my life to be that, do you know that that's not even you sometimes? That's not really you. That's just you deciding, I think I want this because it would just be so cool and it fits my ego. My ego tells me, I ought to have this and I ought to have that. Like, honestly, somebody might say, well, that's your ego telling you need 3 women. Partially, I would agree. But let me tell you where the catch is. I'm a one-woman man in my heart. I could be with one woman if she could be, if one of those, like I said, all those different ethnicities I like, if I met one the finest of all Asian women, the finest of all Latin women that I would be attracted to. In the way that, and don't think that means she got to have the biggest booty and the biggest breasts. I've dated some little slim things that rocked my world. They were awesome. They were gorgeous. They were phenomenal. What was the issue then? They wanted something I didn't want at the time. They needed more than I could provide at the time. I wasn't gonna feel that pressure on me because I've been in that situation too. I've been in a situation where I'm trying to prove, oh baby, I can be it. Let me just, and you stress yourself the fuck out, and it never happened because life your cards are your cards. They ain't got nothing to do with this woman's desire for what she want to see you be. What did you want to do before you met her? You start forgetting yourself sometimes, trying to impress somebody else. I ain't doing that. I ain't doing that. I'm gonna be me, damn it. I'm gonna live my dreams. And I'm not gonna get in the way of nobody else's either. If I find a woman who maybe her dreams are just not small per se, they fit within mine, and she doesn't mind being my cheerleader, that's the kind of energy I need for a wife. I've learned that, but that's a wife. In the meantime, I'm open to dating any and every that can just be a great experience. And I ain't looking for full compatibility. I just need enough for us to have an enjoyable season and live and love and laugh, man. That's all there is to it, you know. And I could go deeper and deeper and deeper. But bottom line is, I wanted to make it clear my reaction to what Zoe was saying, that I don't think it's so much that women are, you know, yes, there's a lot of stuff sharing in popular media and stuff saying you can be the warrior, you can be the queen. First of all, that has always existed. I know he said in the video, first time he saw it was in the Alien movie. Maybe in the moment he felt like that. I want to add to that because I would think Zoe knows this from his travels. Man, women in power has been a thing since antiquity. You know, you've been to Egypt. I know you saw the statues of the female pharaohs and all that. It's like, come on. It ain't nothing new, but it's a certain type of woman that can hold that down and be that. And it's legitimately that. Like, that's just who she is. She was born to be a pharaoh. She was born to be a queen. The problem is everybody likes the sound of the word and the fact that it positions power. Everybody's obsessed with fucking power. Everybody wants to be just so goddamn big and bad. And most of you motherfuckers ain't even bad and big. Like, you know, it's like, just stop trying to be something you already weren't when you were born. You're not a whale. You're a flea. Flea's got a purpose in the world too. You know what I'm saying? That's how I feel about some of these women that want to be, and even men. Men want to be the baddest, toughest, craziest. Dude, you ain't a badass. You just a good dude. Be a good dude. Nothing wrong with that. No one thinks you a punk. No one thinks you can't fight if you got to save your life or somebody you love. That's in every human being. That's instinctual, boy. That's instinctual, man. That's instinctual, girl. That's instinctual, woman. Can we all just fucking be what we are? That's all I'm saying, man. That's all I'm about. Hope y'all appreciate the real. Salute to Zoe, man. You inspired something in me and I had to speak on it, man. Peace and blessings. Universe blessed. ONYXCON all day. Respect first, then power. If ever money. Make it last. Respect first. Peace.